Super fun page today, boys and girls. We have the kids getting encountered by a bully big brother, and little Juniper is going to save the day. Off the bat, I have to thank you guys because yesterday, for whatever reason, the stream may have had something to do with it, but we got hundreds of pre-orders come in for Red Room issue 1 and 2, and I can't be more grateful. So thank you for that. Also, why not keep that rally going? Anyhow, let's jump into things and start inking this page up. This bully brother character, semi-inspired by the great Jack Davis Frankenstein poster, the Warren joint. Big fan of Davis's cartooning, and you got to make all these cartoony characters look distinct in their own way. So this oafish big brother, it's getting the Frankenstein treatment. This is a singular story that's going to be in an issue that includes 5 stories. In fact, if you hit up my Patreon, there's a link in the description below for that. I'm serializing the comic that this will be in right now, and that story, that comic is going to contain singular kind of new stories, but they're tied in with some of the existing issues. You know, they correspond with certain issues. But this one is its own deal. Though if you read all the comics, like you'll know where Juniper comes from. So even in that respect, like all of the stories, even in that issue where there are 5 stories, like no continuing sequences. Everything happens in their own issue. And if you dig it, buy another issue. And if not, well, you got a complete comic. No bait and switch. Welcome to the stream, everybody, and if you weren't here at the jump, I do have to thank you because yesterday we got a good hit of pre-orders come in for the first couple issues of Red Room. Gotta thank you for that, big time. Three will be available for pre-order the moment that I draw that cover. Or I should say, the moment after I draw that cover. Got some more pressing issues at hand for deadline's sake. So, hoping to wrap this story up next week. The goal for tonight is to color the page that I was inking yesterday and try to color this one as well. That'll put me 5 pages in, 4 pages to go. We're gonna relax our recording schedule Thursday, but we have a lot of videos in the can and won't stop our daily video from happening. So I'm going to use this extra week without having to prepare for Kayfabe stuff to just really apply that energy to the comics, hit all the marks. Lots and lots of work to do. Adrian Feather from Halifax, Nova Scotia. Adrian, did we meet? I might have said this before. I do know that somebody from Nova Scotia popped in here and didn't know that Jimmy and I went up there on some kayfabe business before the world lockdown in 2019. Had a beautiful experience up there. Hung out with the Strange Adventures crew. They brought us up. Did some events at the library. Stayed at that waterfront kind of wharf area. Got a lot of good ice cream. Cow's, I believe, is the joint. We actually got a lot of ice cream now that I think about it, because there was another place that called Cacow's that had ice cream, and we thought that was the place everybody was telling us about. That joint was good too. I actually kind of liked it better in a way, because they had like a milk chocolate coating that they put on there. I never had that before. Usually get the hard top. These are the interesting conversations that you can't miss on a Cartoonist Kayfabe live ink stream with me. The virtues of Nova Scotian ice cream. Look at our little bully guy. Straight out of Central Casting, motherfuckers. You ain't gonna mistake this dude here for a rocket scientist. For a nerd. He is meant to do one thing in these kinds of comics. Cause trouble for our main characters. And that's kind of the deal with this comic. It's formatted like a kid's comic, so you have to have that shorthand language of kids comics. You must. It's been a real pleasure drawing in this kind of cartoony style. I'm very happy to have figured out a way to do a kind of kids comic formatted story, because Red Room is such a screwed up concept that the second you inject kids into the mixture, instantly freaky. You know, if you guys remember, those of you who are here like page 1, everybody was like, Ed, don't kill the kids, man. You can't be killing the kids. And I am not. You know, I'm not interested in that. I'm not going for the cheap pop in that way with this. But the fact that everybody was a little bit nervous, that's good. Like, you guys are kind of in on the ground floor, and you know this, but I want the comics reader who isn't fucking with YouTube to get familiar with the comic, read the comic, see how hardcore it is, and then they see this kid's thing, and I want them to think that exact same thing. Oh no. Oh no. I read all this mayhem, all this gore, all this hardcore stuff, and now there's a bunch of kids. Ed, what are you gonna do, man? What are you gonna do to the shorties? No, these kids, they certainly don't have an easy life. You know, these are hardcore Xenia, Ohio gummo kids, man. Another fun thing about playing with this kind of style is that the backgrounds can be, you could be a little bit more playful with the architecture. I'm often, because I know how to do perspective, like I often take the time to do it reasonably accurately, and that just takes a lot of time. But with this style, there's no need, you know, you just be a little whimsical, be a little fun with it. Yeah, this little dude, man, he's out on the prowl, man. Like, the scariest shit, man, in middle school are the kids that start growing those muscles, man. Because now when you fight, it doesn't just sting anymore. They could break a bone. There was this kid that we grew up with around here who just, who knows what the hell we've been fed, man. But this dude, he was definitely over 7 feet tall when it was all said and done. He was extremely tall when we were growing up. And when we hit high school, he had he could wear the same shoes size as Shaquille O'Neal. That's the one thing I remember, because the Shaqs came out, and at the Foot Locker, on the end caps, when they were promoting the Shaquille O'Neal sneaker, on the end cap there would be one sneaker that was the Shaquille O'Neal size, and he took it off and put that thing on and was able to, like, live his life. So this is a giant fucking dude named Brian, and at a certain point he was just wilding out, man, and he did not want to be at school anymore. So he figured out that if he just socks a dude in the chest, he'll knock him out, and he'll get automatic 8 days out school suspension. And then he would just do that every time he would come back. He would knock a dude out, and these were even his friends sometimes, man. He would just punch a dude in the chest, knock him out, go to the office, get sent home for 8 days, come back the very first day back, punch a dude in the chest, knock him out, go back home. And then eventually what happens is you get suspended enough times at the local mall. There was a wing, like a big J.C. Penney's or something was cleared out, and it was some kind of like school for bad kids, and he ultimately had to go there. Actually saw him not too long ago, because I still live in the same area. Saw him not too long ago, and he was very late at night going to my homeboy's house, and dude's walking by out of an abandoned building with all the copper pipes, or as much copper pipe as he could carry in hand. Wasn't looking too well. So on the previous page, the one that I was inking yesterday, the main kids, they kind of menaced this little girl, just scared her by pulling up Juniper's mask and revealing her true face. So as the bully enters, like the little girl off camera, tells her brother what happened or whatever. And this page reveal, he's saying, "Which one of you drop kicked my baby sister?" And there was no drop kick, there was no violence. It was just a little fright, and that's kind of based in real life. When I was a little dude growing up, there was a neighbor, and we didn't even menace or scare them or anything like that. But the one little boy, he definitely had some kind of developmental disability or some shit, and for just some random reason, he just told his big brother, that we hit him or something. In which we weren't even within 50 feet of the dude. We were playing in our own yard, and then all of a sudden the brother comes out and starts fighting us. And when I say fighting, I'm saying beat the shit out of us. And we're like, what just happened? Huh? Or at least that's the story. Like, it's quite possible that dude just felt like wilding out and the little brother didn't say anything. Nonetheless, that's what this is based on. This little sequence, man, where the kid is kind of, he's been told that there was something far more severe that happened than what really occurred. One of my big influences outside of comics is the films of John Waters. And one of the things that I really got from that was that you gotta take things from your life, even if you're working on a piece of fiction. You gotta take stuff from your life and include it in your work to just create a richness. Create something that feels a little bit more authentic. So it's one of those things I took to heart. send this text real fast. We spin many plates here at Cartoonist Kayfabe. Man, sending me spam texts. What the hell did I sign up for that? Weak. Back to the lab. Oh yeah, this definitely has Harmony Korine vibes, man. Like I said, these are Gummo kids. If this is Americana, this is crystal meth injected Americana. Put Juniper in the back there. Because we know the rules, right? Sometimes in comics, it's the things that happen between the panels that are the important bits. So you're going to see this silhouette of Juniper, but behind the little girl. And then in this panel, it's going to be silhouettes. You're going to see the big wheel overturned. You're going to see a sob off cam. Little Juniper jumping on Bully. Little Faust dude threatening him with a stick. Little brother and sister running away. The comic is amped up. Things are happening. All the characters are in place. So now we got to get them to do some stuff. Jacques, thanks for picking up the X-Men Grand Design Omnibus. Super fun book. It was all about that, you know, like that was kind of the final form. The entire time I was envisioning the day when it would all be enclosed in one volume. It's so funny, I have these flashbacks while working on these pages. I roughed it out 2 weeks ago. I took last week off but I roughed it out like 2 weeks ago. And while I was working on this page, like it just flashed back. I was watching the Liam Neeson movie Taken for some reason. I actually really like that flick. I like the kind of comic booky nature of it. You know, this badass old retired dude that sort of knows all the answers. But then if you remember, that like a big part of that, it's about there's the human trafficking aspect of that comic. That's kind of like the bad guy's purpose or whatever. And those kinds of scary practices factor into Red Room at various times as well. You gotta get your victims, and you know what? Maybe you gotta get your killers. So you gotta figure out how to get them somehow. And with the dark web and Bitcoin and all that stuff involved, it's just such a scary Wild West scenario that you could paint. That like my goal, like I'm gonna try to get under your skin with it. Like that's the whole point of these kind of horror stories. To make you feel something very visceral and nervous, and perhaps even a little weird food for thought. Next time you read about, you know, blockchains and stuff. Kurako from Hawaii, thanks very much for the super chat. That's her little sister character right there. Easterly, thanks for supporting all those crazy books I've been putting out, man. Last year was a crazy year. I had 2 books come out. One that cost $150, another that cost $100. It's like, god damn, let me make some comics at entry-level prices. I'm not going to get a new reader with a $200 book, $150 book. All that said, I absolutely thank you for supporting those projects. They were certainly meant for the hardcore Eddie P. reader. And there you have it. One panel down. This one's going to be super easy. We'll save that one for last. But all of these are reasonably easy. You know, this one, nah, they're all good. Andrew Lim, thank you very much. Yes, the David Cho interview was such a pleasure. Such a pleasure. It was really cool when he reached out and kind of expressed how much he dug the channel. And we had, man, maybe a 4-hour conversation. The stuff he was talking about, it was just it's he's totally in sync with where we come from and what we were about. So he would mention stuff, and it's like, oh yeah, we got a video of that. We made a video of that. Yeah. We express our thoughts about that in this video. So it's like, all right, Dave, man, you got to come on the channel, dude. You got to come say what's up. Let's talk comics. And it was great. John Leonard, thanks for the pre-order on the Red Room comics. And while we got 100 people in the room or whatever, just want to thank you all again. Whoever you were who pre-ordered comics yesterday, we got a giant uptick, and that thrills me because the word has been out on the streets for about a month now, maybe a little longer. And with the amount of pre-orders we put out there, that you guys have, committed to yesterday, just blew my mind. I'm going to put the link up again if you guys are sort of new to the stream or whatever. I want to put in yours, but we're making some things happen here, and it's thrilling stuff. It's very cool. I said yesterday on the stream that you can't expect my bad guys in the comic to ever get their comeuppance kind of on their own. And I decided that the only way that they will sort of meet justice is at the hands of superheroes, man. So I gotta get this comic popular enough to make guys like Uncle Todd McFarlane interested in like Spawn meets Red Room and shit like that. Batman meets Red Room. Punisher and the Red Room. Those are the only people that could destroy these villains, man. I feel like there's like going to be a little Steve Dillon in this face. I kind of see it. Almost like that Humperdinck-Doo Last Scion character. He's got one of those 90s ball-bearing chokers on. Dudes that had that bull haircut would wear those things. DB Cooper, thanks a lot, man. Talk about unstoppable villains. I hope that the feds don't track your IP address, man. Big fan of your work. I was always a super familiar with the DB Cooper story because my dad was incredibly fascinated with it growing up. Did Leonard Nimoy do an episode of In Search of about DB Cooper or something? Maybe it was Unsolved Mysteries. But it's for some reason, my dad it captured his imagination, and whatever there would be on the tube about it, it would be on at the house. Yeah, In Search of was good for scaring a dude. You know what else was real good for scaring a kid? Like In Search of, that's for the previous generation. That's 70s kids and stuff. Like I watched the shit when it was on like A&E or whatever, way after the fact. But kids in the 80s, kids in the 90s, we had Rescue 911 would make you shit your pants because the stuff that they would have in there, it would all be practical shit. Like I think maybe once a month there would be an episode where they have to jab a big pen into somebody's neck so that they could breathe. That makes you want to chew your food up real well. I remember this one with like a little dude going go-karting, which is something I freaking loved to do at the time. Hit the car in front of him when they go park, crushes his larynx, however you say that. I think he got the pen in the neck treatment too, to save him. Unsolved Mysteries, as a little dude, whenever we go on a family trip or something, and we're on the highway, and I see a black trash bag on the side of the road, I'm thinking that there's bodies in there. Or a car pulled over on the side, that's somebody going to dump a corpse. Wisely constructed show, by the way, man, because after all the serial killer stuff and all the mayhem, let me see what's up with the aliens. What's up with the crop circles. And yes, that Unsolved Mysteries theme song. What I used to do when I was a little dude, because I loved that show, but that theme song was too much. So I would put. They were strategic too, you know. Like it only played whenever you seen the logo. So when you see that logo pop up, all that you had to do, you stick your fingers in your ears like that, and just keep moving them back and forth, and you just hear that noise. When you see the Unsolved Mysteries logo go away, take your fingers out of your ear, you're fine. I do love that that's popular now. Like that we all agree on that, because it's not like, you know how like there was some movie that said that the word moist is like the grossest word ever, and then everybody just parrots that and is like says the same thing when it's really just a meme that they accepted. Um, I think you know, like I was legitimately freaked out by that music when I was a little dude. No meme to it. I'm sure you were too. Yeah, the Netflix shit kind of sucks. It's pretty weak. And it's probably one of those things where it just has to exist for a while, because like another big part, like a catharsis for that show, and it can't happen if it's not on the air for quite some time, is the updates where like bad guys actually get caught. You know what I'm saying, man? Like I need these guys to, yeah, it's all well and good, man, that it's unsolved and blah blah blah. That's the hook or whatever. But I need to start seeing some results. And of course, no Robert Stack. It's a different show. I need to see my gumshoe Elliot Ness. With his Dick Tracy trench coat, not blinking into the camera. Yeah, it's so funny, like talking about America's Most Wanted and stuff. Like what is on TV? Like I don't know what one show is. Even when I go over to my folks' house and my old man's watching some stuff, he's watching some Johnny Weissmuller Tarzan movies. You know what I'm saying? He's not watching Two Broke Girls. John Walsh had some skin in the game. That's goddamn right, huh? I saw it, man. You know, that's kind of my era as well. The TV movie about his son and stuff. Terrifying. I give that dude so much respect, man. He's like a true go-getter, man. These cops ain't giving me results. He sees the faults in their system. The fact that these inter-precinct kind of messages don't get to one another. It gets busy, you know, starts making some shit happen. But I think about all those, like even sitcoms and stuff when I was a kid in the 80s and 90s. Uh, they just like they preyed on our fears. Even the sitcoms, like what's the scariest thing to a kid? Mom and dad passing before their time when and still like leaving you an orphan or something. You had Punky Brewster. What was Full House, man? Like Uncle Joey, Uncle Jesse, they're living in the house because the girl's mom passed away, and Danny Tanner needs all the help he could get to raise the girls. Was Small Wonder a robot, or was it a dead girl that got turned to a robot? It must just be a robot, right? My Two Dads. Not only did the girl's mom die, but she might have been kind of a hoe because there's two potential dads. Like, what? What? Different Strokes. And these are comedy shows, but the root of it is a dead mom or dad. How could little kids not grow up with some kind of anxiety about things with that in the pop culture at the time? Constantly. Yeah, let's talk about Alf for a second. The cat thing I could deal with. Did you see that last episode of Alf? You watch this show for season after season, get to love that little dude. The family is enjoying his company. The end of every episode, he's looking up at the sky, talking to the Milmacians, wanting to go back home. Last episode of Elf. PCB, I'm gonna blow your mind, man. Get your tissues ready. So every episode at the end, man, he's talking to the Milmacians. I think that was the planet, and the episode ends the same way. He's talking to his home planet. Boom. Out comes the light. You're led to believe that his people are coming to get him, man. The other Alfs are coming to, like, we all wanted to see a million Alfs. We wanted him to go home, be with his people. Guess what? It's the freaking government. And they show up, and the family sells them out. The mom and dad sells them out. The feds take Alf away. And that's it. You can watch that shit on YouTube. I just use Speedball ink. Nema. Cheap stuff. Can't say I recommend it. Can't say I care that much. It puts black lines on paper for me to scan. Yeah, after you see that last episode of Elf, you'll never look at that mom and dad the same again, man. They wanted to take the nuclear approach and just make you hate them. If only Kevin from Mr. Belvedere was really Marilyn Manson. I never actually heard that one, but I see it. When I was growing up, it was Paul Pfeiffer from Wonder Years was Marilyn Manson. And you could see it with both those guys. They have that bony facial structure. And little Paul Pfeiffer had that schnoz, had the Hawkman beak. No chin. The one thing I wondered about Mr. Belvedere that always kind of made me curious was that when you watch the opening sequence, it takes place in Beaver Falls, PA, which is the neighboring county to Allegheny County, which is where I'm at right now here in Pittsburgh. And that always seemed like an odd choice. Like, nobody gives a fuck about Beaver County. That might as well be Pennsylvania. But that's where Mr. Belvedere decided to buddle, or whatever you call it. Bob Uecker was the man. Mr. Baseball. Remember him on Johnny Carson? Remember him on WWF? WrestleMania 3, was it? Getting choked out by Andre the Giant? Oh yeah, you can never forget Webster. I don't know what channel any of those shows were on because I caught them all in kind of syndication. But I do think they dropped the ball where there wasn't a crossover episode between Different Strokes and Webster. You're gonna feel this one. Got the Beetlejuice teeth, and just like one of these teeth hooks the fucking lip. Ugh, gross. So you like even see the tooth shape right there. Nasty. A little Juniper locking fingers. Test of strength. as you could probably tell from the day's conversation, I was like raised in front of a television. Like I would just have little drawing paper and stuff and just hang out and draw, like, and just watch that crap constantly. It's ridiculous. And it was like maybe age 16 when I just, friends started getting licenses and shit. And it was time to go out and about, like, and certainly by senior year I was weaning myself off of TV even more. Like the only show that I watched was Howard Stern on the E channel. And when I went to Hubert School, there was no TV, no cable or anything. So that was it. TV was done. What's going on, alien mother? Smoke, draw, repeat. Welcome back to the stream. But as a kid, I feel like it would be no exaggeration to say I would be in front of the tube like 7 hours. After, like, all day and night after school, man. Like reading comics in front of the tube, drawing comics in front of the tube. But it was always there, omnipresent. So weird. How do you become a Raider fan? You watch Bo Jackson while you're growing up, man. That's how you become a Raider fan. I was watching, as background noise, Breaking Bad whenever the stream is off and I'm inking, and just finished up season 2. So there's the part where Jesse Pinkman and his girlfriend are sitting there. She's going through his, like, childhood drawings, and she's an artist herself. And she says something like, "Nice lines," and there's something about it rang super phony. Like, it was the TV writer's idea of, like, how artists talk to one another or something. And I think what's phony about it is that in every real conversation I had, sort of in my life with a real artist, it's never that simplified. You would never say nice lines. It would be like, I like this line because, or something like that. Aiden Hatch, congrats on scooping up those first 22 issues of Stray Bullets, man. One of the great comic series. One of the very best comics to come out of the 1990s. Dismal times. Those 1990s. In fact, just you wait this Sunday. We're going to be talking about a better one of those 90s comics, man, but that by no means should imply that the thing that we're going to be talking about is infallible. We are making some progress today. The goal is to scan this page in and apply all color, and the previous page. I had some business to attend to, had some phone conversations, had to catch up with some people last night, so I didn't scan in that page that I was inking yesterday and didn't finish it off. So the goal is to get both done today, and I will make that goal if I have to put on the coffee pot at like midnight. That was a sneeze, and I do not have COVID, I promise you. Aiden Hatch, congrats on the Snake Eyes page. Thanks a lot, man. And you know, the cat is out of the bag too. Like, there are articles out there, and Jim Rugg's name is mentioned in there. Tom Shioley's name is mentioned in there, man. Like, those guys are going to be inking pages. Hopefully Jimmy can stream his page or make a video as well, man. There's a lot of cool people inking Uncle Rob's work on that issue. He's totally hotshotting it, man. He figured out a way to get people to give a shit about it. Issue number 5. Smart business, dude. Totally knows what the heck he's doing. It's almost like he's been in the industry for 35 years. But if you take a look at the articles online, like, you'll see the page that Neil Adams inked for him. You'll see the page that Will Sportaccio inked for him. It's very cool stuff. Sienkiewicz inked a Liefeld page. That'd be amazing. There's like an extra layer of like whiteout that I use kind of just digitally for the hair to just make it really extra ratty and gross and greasy. And then I also lay the duotone over top of it so that it just adds to it. She has this kind of polka dot motif on her dress. Can't forget that. This is going to be real cool when I take it into the tones, because it's like inside lit piece that's going to be like the dark gray duotone, but then I'm going to cut white into it so that it just looks wet and glistening and just raw. Same with her gums, same with his gums there. Just these like wet pink organ pieces. Super fun sequence. I'll still save this up there just because it'll be boring to see. It's just silhouette. But I kind of can't wait to see it all together, because it's like enter Big Brother, getting closer to our kids, see little Juniper lunging, and then the implied motion of her just grabbing him and almost like spinning around him like he's a telephone pole or something, and just chomping him up, and dude just doesn't know what the heck the deal is. Totally unexpected. Oh yeah, he's got like little pimples and shit everywhere. TMNT toes, Nightcrawler toes. on these kind of weird schmoz panels, I don't even know where to begin. That would be a thought in my mind a lot when I was a little kid, looking at comics, trying to reverse engineer them, having some interest in drawing and keen interest in developing some drawing proficiency, taking a look at my favorite artwork in comics and staring at it perplexed, like, where do you even start when it comes to like the inking, or if it's a fight sequence, like two characters layered on top of one another, fists going everywhere, like how do you even start? And then when you see your first stuff where there's underdrawing, and it's not precious underdrawing, that opens the world. Like there's a freedom with that lets you know that you don't have to get it right the first time. You could be loose, but I don't think that those drawing books with the little oval head and the circle in the middle and the five eyes apart, the five eyes wide is the you know length of the head, or the radius of the head. Uh, that those never quite did it for me. It was really like the gesture drawings of like your first life drawing class. When you see your instructor do the gestures, and you're tasked with doing 10-second sketches of a full body. That's the magic. That is the magic stuff. And that's also where you see the lames, man. Like the goofballs that don't amount to shit. Like they don't get they don't understand the exercise. How can I possibly draw this person in 10 seconds? It's like, it ain't about that, man. It's about capturing the proportion. It's about capturing the life, the essence of the figure. You're not being asked to do a fully rendered realistic image, man. You just need to know how the arms work, how the hips work, how the body distributes weight. And I still, pre-COVID, I was taking life drawing classes and all that, and there was always those people that just like couldn't get it. But that's the cool shit, man, that like you do enough of that, then you hit the page and just start blocking in shapes. Trying to make sure I don't miss anything in terms of continuity of costume and whatnot. did I ever get shit in high school for doing comic stuff? No. From the art teachers and stuff, no. Um, my art teachers were super supportive and didn't require me to involve myself with any of their like busy work exercises. They just let me do whatever I wanted. And even very late, like one of the closest teachers I ever had, like Miss Catone was her name, she would show up to any of my events within the tri-state area of like West Virginia, Ohio, Pennsylvania. Even if I was doing something in Philadelphia, she would show up. So I love that lady, but she, we lost her. I had a big art show in town some years back, and the day of the opening, I was at her, I was at her wake, and there were pieces that like I really wanted her to see because it was competitions that she included me in, it's little statewide competitions and junk, and her permission slips were a part of the art exhibit, but I had no idea that she was as sick as she was. I did see her the prior week, but I didn't get the clue when her husband was like, you should really come see her now. She seemed, she wasn't well, but she had plans and stuff. That was tough. That was brutal. Rest in peace, Miss Catone. She was my mother's art teacher too, in like middle school. My mom's got like 22 years on me. Yeah, your Canadian comic stores are going to be able to pre-order that comic right this minute. Let your shop know that you want to get Red Room Comics. They're going to order it the way they use the way they order anything else. But you can't take for granted that they will, have endless supply of them. So let them know that you're interested, and frankly, get it put on your pull list. It's going to be a monthly comic that you could rely on and that will give you a satisfying read month in, month out. You cannot say that same thing for any of those jobber monthly comics. I defy you to say so. Yeah, we'll pick that up later. Her hair is some of the most fun stuff to draw digitally. It looks the most satisfying when I start to apply white over top of it and start to cut duotone into it. So what you see here is really the barest bones. Ontario. If you're near Toronto, I'm sure the Beguiling's going to grab it. They've always been big supporters of my comics. Yeah, Rob's going to use the duotone page. The exact one that they're showing up in the articles, and frankly the one that is in the video with the before and after shot, because I gave him 3 options, and I gave him one with like a darker, like where the duotone black mimics the exact black of the line, but I recommended against that because it just competes too much with the line art. You know, you want that line to be more subtle. Just a tone rather than stark black. I would do something small like that again for Rob Liefeld. That was super fun. I have my own comics to draw, so it wouldn't be. I wouldn't sign up for something big. Nor am I suggesting that he would even consider me. But I'd ink another piece. That shit was fun, man, and it made me think about like wanting to ink some other people. You know, I've done 3 collaborations in comics in my life. Uh, Jay Lynch, who was one of the kind of great underground cartoonists of the 60s. Harvey Pekar, comics legend. You know, one of the guys that popularized the autobiographical comic strip. And now Rob Liefeld. That's about as cartoonist kayfabe as it could get. No, I mean, there's nobody I'm really itching to ink, so I don't have a list. But I will say that it would have to be a situation like that with Rob, like somebody that moves the needle, so to speak. You know, if I'm gonna do a job, man, I'm gonna, you know, do a job for somebody at a high level that can do something for me. You know, like inking a random Moon Knight page ain't gonna do it. You dig? Daniel W, what's up, homie? Welcome to the stream. A little chaotic panel. Messing that dude up. I think if Jim, Tom, and myself ever made a comic, I don't think it would fill assembly line. I think it would be Eastman and Laird, where we're all putting our hands on the artwork and just kind of like creating this other entity rather than like, you know, Jimmy letters it or Jimmy letters this page and we just, you know, move one discipline over for each page and just keep going around in circles. I don't think, though I say that and that sounds interesting actually. But the truth of the matter is, we each have our own ideologies and ways of doing comics. So I don't really see that happening. You know, we've been homies for 20 years at this point, and the conversation never came up. Awesome. Quick pee break. BRB. All right. Home stretch time. Yeah, certainly not the first time Uncle Gary was like, Ed, what the fuck am I publishing here? That Rob Liefeld comic is definitely the most mind-boggling thing to Uncle Gary that he ever published of mine, and maybe ever. Though he is a publisher of Critters, we can't forget that. How he's just break balls just for fun. And he always reminds me that that was a Kim Thompson choice, which is also extra fun. I am thinking about the comic almost 24/7. The way it generally works, for these past two stories, the Rat Queen's story and this Juniper story, well, for all the stories, what I would do is come up with bullet points for every page. You know, I have this overall idea of what I want to lay out. Here's what happens on page 1, 2, 3, etc. For for the Rat Queen story, and for this story, I roughed them all out ahead of time. I think I'm going to keep doing that because I like to let the compositions simmer for a bit and then revisit them later and maybe change a couple of things here and there. So that's the value of that for me. But I'm never doing any one piece long enough to get bored with it, which is important for me. And I would recommend that strategy for yourself as well if you got some ADHD or whatever. You know, keep Keep spinning the plates, man, and just try to keep it fresh, keep it fun, keep it exciting. And then it just becomes this process. Like, this is the part, like, I could hang out here, be with you guys, chat, because all the hard work is done. Composing the thing and laying it out is the toughest part. Needs optimal silence. Needs all attention. I remember hanging out with Brandon Graham in it actually, I guess, was Seattle. Now that I think about it, it wasn't even Portland. When he called it washing dishes. Like, what you guys are watching me do is wash dishes right now. No, my pencils are on the page. It's just layouts are on in Procreate. So, you know, this is pencil on top of, like, let's see. Okay, like that juniper silhouette right there. That's Procreate. But then, like, you know, that's pencil, if that makes sense. Got her bully crying like a bitch. Yeah, Procreate is great, man, for like for what I use it for. I mean, I wouldn't use anything if I didn't think it was the right thing to be using. So I use it in a very limited way, just for layouts, because I can just easily move things around. I've never used a Cintiq before. I will say that what makes it unprofessional is that you can't create CMYK colors. And I think that's probably extremely unprofessional. So if that's the route you're going, your final print job is probably not going to be what you want. You know, the colors are going to look weird. But for the purposes that I use it for, it's totally great. Totally great. Portable. You know, I can draw my shit wherever. I love being able to move things by the millimeter without having to light box and redraw. So that's the reason why I use it. I don't see myself ever doing finished art on it, but I don't really see myself doing finished art digitally anyhow. You know, this is what it's about for me. We'll take care of that in a bit. This dude's just a pile of mush, man, after Juniper got hold of him. Just punked out. Sobbing like a little bitch. After trying to act like a tough guy. This is a fast-paced comic. Like, a lot happens in very few amount of pages. This is another one of those drawings where it's like, where do I begin? There's all these kind of overlapping forms and stuff. David Tang asks, I think you guys mentioned Eric Larson doesn't write cars into his stories because he doesn't like drawing them. Are there things I try to avoid? Honestly, the answer is no. I'm trying to just like tell really cool stories, but then I do get to these pages where I'm like, fuck, now I have to draw a helicopter. What's a helicopter look like? And then I just curse myself and do my best. But no, I don't try to limit my storytelling possibilities with the things that I like to draw or whatever. Like, whatever is required to tell the story, I'm gonna try to do some version. Will it be satisfying to you? You know that, I mean, that's up to you. But I'm gonna do my best. Alan Mack from Vancouver, what's up, homie? Welcome to the stream. We're having a good time here today. Got nearly 150 people in the crowd right now. I am curious, where are you watching the stream from, and who out there is working on some sort of creative endeavor at this very moment while we're all kicking it? Show of hands. Strong Island. Put a little concerned look on his black Faust eyes. Because they gotta get Juniper out of there, man. She's already a fugitive. But now she ate the bully. A lot of story happening on these 9 pages. I think it's going to be a good one, though. Good acting on these characters. It's going to be some fun color on here. Everything Shivers asks, do I keep a sketchbook that I carry with me? And typically I do, but in these COVID times, your homeboy Ed ain't going anywhere, man. I ain't doing shit. I'm going out, can't wait. Monday, last time I checked, it's supposed to start getting nice again in Pittsburgh. Last week I went out on my first bike ride of the season, and I do that every morning. First thing, wake up, do 20 miles. That then creates the excuse to be a sedentary comic book making motherfucker the rest of the day. You don't get a fat ass. You get way more than your 10,000 steps in. Make some shit. Taking care of that part of your day. I just ride a hybrid street bike, and we have these like amazing trails here in town. This one trail it goes from Pittsburgh, I think 350 miles, to Washington D.C. and it goes two ways. So I make the decision: do I want to go rustic or do I want to go urban? And got my little route mapped out that way. The biking regimen actually made it possible for the Kayfabe dailies to happen in a weird way, because I started just waking up really early, and that's kind of Jim's default setting. So it just created that opportunity where if we get started much earlier, we can work on more stuff, and I like it. You know, I'm getting old and shouldn't be staying up till 4 a.m., sleeping till 2 p.m. anymore. It's better for my psyche. We are getting some work done today, boys and girls, man. We are making good time. It's only 6 p.m. here on the east. 2 more panels to ink. 3 really, but that silhouette thing that's a gimme. Let's get this little ink blotch out of my life. I would have been sad if that would have went onto one of the characters. But thankfully it didn't. The comic gods were watching over, preventing that from happening, boys and girls. Yeah, like I said, it's like 350 miles to DC by way of the trails. And this is through Appalachia, so that's a hard 350, man. You are not going to hear about me doing that anytime soon, man. My whole thing is like, just get a little bit of physical maintenance in there. My midlife crisis, whenever I have it, it's not gonna manifest itself with a bike trip to DC. I'm gonna pedal the SPX. Probably die halfway over the state lines or something. Man, I love these little characters. They're so much fun. I love the proportions. David Tang, that's super nice to hear, man. I think that the channel, and I say I think because I can't speak for Jimmy, but the channel has a similar function for me, even though I'm the dude that's helping to make the videos, because Jim is pretty much, you know, one of the very few people that I see You know, he's one of the very few people that I trust to do the right things, to follow the rules, and not take stupid risks. So that creates the opportunity for us to hang out and make these vids. And while we keep hearing about, like, you know, the statistics of the new death counts and all of that, let us have this one day a week, which is when we record, to just hang out and talk comics for 5-6 hours. You know, let me have that with all the shit that we have to deal with collectively. So the value you get out of it is the value I get out of it. When we record it, it's a long day, so we'll record the stuff, and then that same day I'll do all the editing for my half. And it's like another bite of the apple. It's like, even though I just lived this, I get to almost like just like enjoy the episodes before anybody else. And I'm laughing. I'm probably laughing where you're laughing. You know, like, we record these videos like a whirlwind. And then when the debrief of doing the editing happens, it's like, oh man, that's funny. That's a good one. Like, I think that Spider-Man Power Man Storm video is one of our funniest, man. That shit cracked me up. The little girl has this little knee pad with a stick on it for her peg leg, for her pirate peg leg. Oh yeah, speaking of which, it's a new month. It's March. I think when we record next, I'll choose Watchmen issue 3. Thanks for that reminder. We've not done Ronin yet. But we definitely will. Yeah, we need to do a Bone video for sure. Jeff Smith is awesome. So much interest in covering Coral Borks and the Duck books. I've been using them as reference for this comic in some ways, for backgrounds and stuff. I'm a devotee. I'm a big fan. There's a strategy to what we're doing though, and we need to get the audience as big as possible in order to make those vids work. Because if they're the least popular vids we do, but still have 10,000 people watching them overnight, then it makes sense. There's a method to the madness. some juniper hair to ink. And as you've seen before, some markers come in. It's just a little chibi rat girl. There will definitely be some Dave McKean on the channel. I've been wanting to do cages for a while. Maybe we'll do just one chapter at a time or something. You know, it's a big work. That's a challenging work. Mr. Punch. We got to do some Dave McKean for sure. Bottom line. Is Jim Rub dressed as the Crow ever going to make an appearance on this in this story? No. And I don't think he's going to make an appearance on the channel. Jim swears up and down that he doesn't have photos of that any longer. I'm going to have to ask his wife. See if he's lying. That Spider-Man Power Man issue is. We had to do it after, like, I was digging through the long boxes, came across that and saw that last bubble. It totally brought me back. We are making excellent progress here today. Excellent progress. I say it all the time, but one of the real values of hanging out doing the streams is that it forces me to remain disciplined and not fuck off in between. You know, draw a panel, go dig in some comic boxes, go read a little bit of a comic, draw another panel, text my friends, draw another panel, go play F-Zero. Eyes on the prize. There are comics that need a drawing. The F-Zero comic, I do not. Oh man, I got F-Zero probably right when I got that Super Nintendo, but I do not remember the comic. I'll have to look that up afterward. getting there. 2.5 hours, not bad. Not bad time at all. Let's see. We established that girl has kind of like a plaid skirt. Because it's so far away, we won't worry about the textures of that. Oh yeah, she's got a skull. Just like the cars, man. Get the legs off the ground for speed. Got our little dude's mullet. Tim O'Neill, thanks for coming through, man. If you guys haven't done so, hit that link. Pre-order some Red Room comics for yourselves. Support this crazy project. It will yield many more crazy projects in the future. If people show up in a big way for this thing, other creators are going to be forced to making those monthly comics more valuable in terms of individual reading experiences. There are a lot of reasons besides just the simple story to support the Red Room comic, so by all means please do so. Marco, what's going on? Welcome to the stream. Basically one more panel to go. Simple one. That's the cool thing about drawing so small, is that no complicated backgrounds really. Is Heroes Con more independent-ish, like ASP, or closer to Deadpoolish Comic-Cons? Heroes Con is my favorite show because of the blend. There's what they call Indie Island, and that's where we reside. Shelton, the proprietor, brings good people in for that, and he brings good mainstream people, you know? Like, when we did the last one in 2019, we interviewed Bill Sienkiewicz, but, you know, we were there, so it's like cool indie people, cool mainstream people. They respect the audience. I recommend it. It is not like SPX. Definitely has a lot of mainstream vibe, but the dealers are also part of the value of this convention. So you make a dollar, you're going to spend a dollar, because there's like it's all there. You know, you're going to find some cool comics down at Heroes Con. No doubt. Yeah, that is the other thing too, man. Lou Ferrigno ain't invited. It's all about comics. Faust is making his appearance, man, because they're all adorning their Halloween costumes. And in the world of Red Room, Faust got the Ben Cooper treatment. Can you imagine a Faust Ben Cooper costume? Man, somebody needs to... Dave Quinn, Tim Vigil, go kickstart that shit. The Faust Ben Cooper style Halloween costume. I have 2 nephews. I'd rock those dudes in that. trying to have the characters pull kind of one of those Keystone Cops kind of skids. I'm drawing these kinds of comics with the kind of kid vibe to them. Excuse me. It's all storytelling, you know, no filigree. All storytelling. It's really freaking fun, man. Like, I find the layout part of the process to be extremely fun, and this is the kind of the extension of that. You know, there's iconography at play. You know, just giving like the mere suggestion of the background, and that's like totally acceptable for that kind of comic. It's pretty cool. Because just that background shit just doesn't matter. And yes, this piece will be in color, and I'm going to do it. Man, I can't. Come on, man. We make our own comics around these parts. That's all you need. And then you just color that as like one block of something. Pretty cool. Color his hair. We'll do that silhouette panel up top, and then I'm gonna clock the hell out and start scanning these suckers, coloring them. I'll put up a couple panels here and there on my Instagram for you guys to check out. But this is like after you run around the track a couple of times, you gotta keep rolling for a little bit, man, to just kind of cool down. That's what this panel will be. Cool down period panel. Man, I have no idea what that must have sounded like, but I accidentally touched the microphone with my pen. The little dude's like, we have sticks, man, to try to like defend against the bully here. We have our Frankenstein neighbor. Give him some good physiognomy. Nice head shape. Nice profile. It's always wild to me how the Phantom like transcends. Yeah, it's so interesting. Like, Phantom has no imprint here. It's always the fascinating stuff. Like, Donald Duck has no imprint here for people who are younger than 50. But you go everywhere, and there's actually a for real conversation to be had about Don Rosa versus Carl Barks, with many people choosing Rosa because that's like the Donald Duck that they grew up with. That is just not the case here in the States. Yeah, that's so cool that you guys absorb and respect like our classic comics. The people who I'm looking over my shelf right now. I got all these Duck books, and I have all the Godfredson Mickey Mouses, and that's who reads this shit. Like comic heads. They're expensive. You don't find them in places where kids are, in comic shops and stuff. Maybe a very tiny bit of Barnes and Noble or something. But just regular folk just do not see them. Yeah, the Barks books are just stellar. In every country I go to in Europe, everybody involved in the comics business was a duck head. I remember going to a festival in Erlangen, Germany, and it was exactly Donald Duck's 70th birthday, and they shut the whole festival down, brought out a like 9-foot cake that was being carried by 6 people on a big giant wooden plank, like a big piece of big sheet of wood, and they sang happy birthday to Donald Duck. Gave everybody a little slab of that cake. My first trip abroad was to Denmark for a festival, and it was a cool experience. They brought Frank Quitely out there. They brought Charles Burns, Chris Ware, Dan Klaus, me, and Don Rosa. And I get to the festival that first day, giant line. Who is it? Everybody here to see Klaus? Like, what's the deal? And that was the Don Rosa line. Huge. I never had a clue, And they sat me next to him at some festival, at some point here in Washington, I think. And it was what I would expect the line to be, very, very modest. Not that huge by any stretch. And then I remember saying, like, I'm really big in Europe. like David Hasselhoff's singing career. Am I afraid of damaging my paper with my hand sweat? Come on now. There are more bigger concerns out there in the universe. I'm going to mispronounce your name, Helg. Forgive me for that. But I do have a question. Since you're Danish, you'll be able to answer this for me. Went into the grocery store in Denmark, saw a Donald Duck comic, and it was a race situation, bunch of cars, and the story title ended with the word F-A-R-T. And I know it didn't mean the English version of those letters put together, F-A-R-T. So in Danish, what does that word mean? Because it certainly looked odd on the cover of a Donald Duck comic, very, very big and prominent. So if you are still here in that chat and you heard my query, what's the answer to that? And that's the best context I could give you. It was a car race. I'm not sure what car won. Speed. Cool. I like it. That's a question I've had lingering for quite a while. You see that every now and then. You know, you see those words that have a certain meaning here. It might even be in Denmark where your stories end SLUT. Slut. Speed. Very cool. Like I said, appreciate the answer. It was a small trivial question that has been a curiosity of mine for quite a while. And I think, when you see slut at the end of a movie, something tells me that just means like the end. Finito. Shit. I think this is it. I think we're good to go. Nice little 3-hour session. Completely inked the page. Now, catch a little meal. Go for a little walk. Scan and color these bitches. Super fun. Thank you guys for hanging out with me. Always appreciated. Hit that link right there. Pre-order some Red Room comics. Let's keep this gravy train rolling. Let's keep those numbers going up. Just over the past day, hundreds of pre-orders came in. And we're going to try to keep that rally going. You know, putting together some crazy horror comics that couldn't even have been possible 10 years ago because the scary developments involved in the comic didn't exist then. It's a new world. It's a new millennium. The dark web has taken root and has given us an infinite number of horror possibilities. I will probably be here tomorrow to put ink down on another page. Hope you guys join me. Hope you guys support the channel. Hope you guys grab some comics. But I'm gonna split. Go take care of business. Create some print-ready files that can hit your comic shop up in a couple of months. And you guys were hanging out here while the business was being done, while the magic was being made. Thank you guys very much. Have a good night.